ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ, ಶುಭೋದಯ, ಗುಡ್ ಮಾರ್ನಿಂಗ್. ಈ ವಿಜ್ಞಾನ ನಾಟಕ ಹಬ್ಬದ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಶುಭಾಶಯಗಳು. ನನಗೆ ಕನ್ನಡ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಬರುತ್ತೆ, ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಬರೋಲ್ಲ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಇವಾಗ ನಾನು ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷಲ್ಲಿ ಶಿಫ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ಪ್ಲೀಸ್ ಫರ್ಗಿವ್ ಮೀ, ಬಟ್ language is just one of those ways that you make connections with people. There are many other ways. To see so many children on this happy Children's Day, enthusiastic, happy faces, all geared up to put up a festival, which will, be a memorable festival, makes me very happy. And, when I was growing up, we didn't have science theatre festivals. In fact, we had a few theatre performances once in a while, but this integration of science and theatre was not something that I had experienced until a very ripe old age in life, and I'll come to that later. So I had, unlike Dr. Pavitra, who seems to be one of those, really cool students in school, I wasn't a very cool student. Okay. I became a writer also much later. I used to actually quite enjoy my academics, which is my physics and maths. So I was most hated. I was really hated among my other students, but I used to quite enjoy it. I used to find great beauty in maths and physics especially. I used to detest history, geography and all those subjects when you had to mug up a lot. So that I hated. But the maths and its elegance was something that really got to me. And it and the second thing which I used to really like in school, which is reading stories. I mean, I used to love all the Amar Chitra Kathas, the Tintins, the novels of R.K. Narayan and things like that. And we grew up in a time where I know I am sounding increasingly like an uncle these days. In 5 years' time, I will sound like a grandfather. I know that. I am anyway an uncle, truthfully speaking. But when I say this, that I feel we were a very lucky generation, a generation till about the 2000s, especially for children, which didn't have this curse in their lives. And this is a curse. It is a freely available, perfectly legal drug, which is in fact sometimes encouraged by elders and parents. Learn something from here. There is nothing to learn from here. So our school days were basically spent in either reading or playing, put short, or listening to the radio. And that was it. We would play for 3-4 hours continuously. We would read a few books, whatever took your fancy. And the rest of the time would be, spending with chit-chatting with kids and all that. So in a certain sense, we were, although I didn't know it then, I think the seeds of being part of a community, and theatre is at the end of the day a community of people that comes together. The seeds of community and of imagination were being somehow planted in us. I'm not saying that that's not the way it can happen today, or that everybody who grew up in those days was, that. But it happens. If some of you read Calvin and Hobbes, the comic, I don't know how many of you read Calvin and Hobbes, the comic? Not very. Okay, kids who are not reading Calvin and Hobbes, the comics, are really missing out on something great in life. So Calvin is a young boy of about 7 or 8, and he has a pet tiger, a pet toy, a tiger, which is basically a cloth tiger. But in all his comics, he imagines the tiger to be alive. It's his friend. He's a single child. It's his friend. So all the adventures that he has are with this pet tiger of his, with this, so he imagines the tiger to be alive, and they go on great adventures. And this really is what, in a way, theatre is. It is the realms of imagination. And whatever you imagine is true, like the great artist Picasso said. Imagination can take you to many places. It can be a relief from all the nastiness of life. And at every stage of life, there is nastiness. Some teacher has come and said something nasty to you. You got a horrible mark in your maths, and your parents say that nothing will ever happen to you. You are a duffer, etc., etc. Where you get relief from all of this, like she found it in her memories of performing on stage, there is imagination which comes to the rescue, and that is where the basis of theatre is. She spoke a little bit about theatre and its value, performing arts and its value in school as far as the education system is concerned. Again, I didn't do any theatre in school. I started only around about 23 or so. It so happens that in college an audition was being asked for, and I went just like that. And somehow I got selected. And the bug caught me in college at a very late age, at 23. And that bug has not left me in the last 35 years, 30 plus years that I've been doing theatre. In a place like Bangalore, working in a fairly demanding job most of my life. I was in the IT sector. I studied physics, like he said, but unfortunately, at some point of life, I lost my confidence to do physics. And I said, okay, physics is not for me. And I went down to a conventional mainstream type of career, which is in the IT industry. However, that memory of the first play that I had done at about 22, 23, where you have a hall dimly lit, there are only some faces and some heads that you can see in the shadow. You are on stage with your co-actors. It is terrifying. There is a dark pit out there, and you know that everything you say is being scrutinized. I think it was B.V. Karanth who said that, you know, on cinema, a man is larger than the man, or a human is larger than a human. In TV, the human is smaller than the human. It is on stage that you see the human exactly as he or she is. So, in this day when we are constantly shifting from screens of this size to this size to this size to this size, somewhere the human gets lost. And theatre is the only space where you see one human as he or she is, and the other human, there's a direct connection without any mediation of a screen in between. And while that is very exhilarating, it is also very terrifying. So, when you are acting, or at least when I am acting on stage, I need to forget about the audience in a sense and be with my co-actors on stage. And that, by the way, creates a feeling of being in a tribe. Even if you're being in that tribe for just 2 hours, you will have been with that tribe for another, 2 months, 3 months for rehearsals. That happens to create a human connection which is irreplaceable. And the reason I'm saying all of this is, even more than doing these things in school, I feel it is even more important to continue doing it later, which is when you're in college, when you start working, you may have, I had a very highly demanding job. I used to work, long hours, and I used to travel 3-4 days a week all over the world actually. And yet I have managed to do at least 10 to 15 shows every year for the last 30 years. As a double life. So I have maintained this double life, including writing. And it's simply because of that first glimpse of love, your first lover, so to speak, who never becomes old. And that is the art form that you like. It doesn't have to be theatre, it can be painting, it can be music, it can be writing. It's the lover that you never forget, and the lover who never becomes old. And therefore she will be with you, or he will be with you till your dying day and keep you young. Theatre in particular has the advantage of giving you a community that you can be with as you grow older. And again, along with this, modern day life, along with traffic and these things, is leading us to a situation where we are all increasingly isolated. Everyone is alone. Everyone has billions of friends on Instagram, some like, tweet, all that, but it's all BS. I read the other day of a 14-year-old guy who committed suicide, and he didn't seem like a completely mad guy, but he committed suicide because he fell in love with his AI chatbot. Now, while we are laughing at this, it is not particularly unusual that we will have these AI systems and AI bots which are so good and so realistic that we will put on these, what do you call them, Oculus glasses or something. You put on these glasses, or you have a neural link in your brain which essentially creates a fantasy world. And in that fantasy world, you will be Superman, Spider-Man, I don't know, whoever, Angelina Jolie, you will be James Bond, and you will be transported from your house into a world of imagination which is so seductive, which is throwing so much dopamine into your brain, and which is engineered by the world's greatest addiction engineers. All the Instagram, Facebooks of all these, all the social media companies, basically they have the world's smartest people, the world's smartest psychologists, computer engineers, user design people who are addiction experts. So their aim is to get you hooked. Their aim is to get you hooked so that you will spend more time here. And the more time you spend here, the more ads you will see. The more ads you will see, the company will either sell that product or the providing platform will make more money. So we are all being taken for a ride in many senses by being pushed into these worlds of alternate reality in the digital world. This is also a world of alternate reality. I saw some of the themes that have come up today. You're talking of a water crisis in a village. You're talking about an Israeli program which has managed to solve the water crisis. You are going to create a village on stage. You're going to have a guy from Israel come on stage. You're going to see a mother and a child crying because they don't have water. That is also alternate reality. But the quality of that reality is vastly superior than this. The process of making that reality is vastly superior than this, because you are making it yourself with your flesh, your blood, your sweat. And that will give you a very, very happy experience. Even more, it will give you a very, very happy memory, which you will retain through your life. I remember almost every single play, every single moment when we meet, we still laugh about, that guy had forgotten his line and we was like standing around waiting when he'll come and take his line. He didn't come. So I just went and dragged him out and made some line up and says, now you start. Okay. So you will have all those memories. There was a show in Calcutta that we were doing, and one of the actors, he had a really bad stomach upset. And it was about to start. And there was no toilet in that because it was happening in a fair. So he went across, there was a 5-star hotel. He begged and pleaded with the doorman, please, I have to go on stage now, 5 minutes, please let me use your toilet. And he came back just in the nick of time. Now these are things that you will remember all your life. And like she's saying, you will remember the first time you rode on a cycle with your girlfriend or boyfriend. At the age of 55, when you do a play, you will remember it when you're 75. And you'll remember it when you're 80. And that is what will keep you away from the other set of modern day diseases plaguing us, of dementia, Alzheimer's, loneliness, alienation, and things like that. So it's really not so important to win any competition. It's really not so important to get a prize so that you can put on your CV. I'm taking too much time, but I'll just tell you this one last real life story. We were doing our play in IIT Delhi, the play on Subramaniam Chandrasekhar. And we had a bunch of the theatre club guys who were. So how many of you want to go to IIT? Yeah, lots of you, right? Okay. How many of you want to go to IISER? How many of you have heard of IISER? IISER. No one? Okay, this is a science theatre festival. It's not a technology theatre festival. IISER is Indian Institute of Science, Education and Research. Science, Education, Research. It's the among the best programs for studying pure sciences in India today, apart from Indian Institutes of IISc. We went to both IISER and IIT with our play. The IISER students were all like this, switched on, energetic, fully like full on. The IIT students were yeah. They were volunteering to set up our stage, which is a very simple stage. So I was there on stage setting up my team. The theater team volunteers, 10 of them were there. I call them once, move this box, they'll come, go back. Okay. At some point, I blew my top. I said, why the hell are you here? You know, I am like 30 years older than you. I have 40 times more energy than you. What is wrong with you? Why are you joining a theater club if you have zero interest? And by the way, I can tell you that what you will see today, you will not have seen anywhere else. There may even be something you will learn from it. Because I've done this in other colleges and people have learned from it. So why did you join at some point? Hindi, most of you understand? नहीं सर resume में अच्छा दिखेगा. So I said, suppose why didn't you join, I don't know, whatever, some kabaddi club? वो भी resume, हाँ वो ले लेते तो हम उसी में चले जाते. लेकिन kabaddi was full, theater was available, so I came to theater. Okay. Then I said, okay, resume में अच्छा दिखेगा फिर क्या सर, अच्छी नौकरी मिल जाएगी. And then फिर शादी हो जाएगा, एक घर मिल जाएगा, बच्चे हो जाएंगे, then बच्चे will go through the same cycle. So, all I am saying is, as far as I am concerned, in my personal life, like I said, I started doing theatre at the age of 23, very late in life. It has saved my life. The arts have saved my life, although I am a lover of science and I am a lover of maths. It has saved my life. When I passed out of school and college, I didn't have president of theatre club, winner of gold medal, daddy, nothing I had. I had good marks in maths and physics, that's it. Okay. But theatre and the love of storytelling has saved my life. It has given me a community, it has given me friends, it has given me something forward to look to. Right now I'm in the process of trying to write a play about the first woman particle physicist of India. Her name is lost in history. Some people may know. No one knows her name. So how many? Name 2 Indian scientists, folks. Anybody in the audience, especially the kids, give me the names of 2 Indian scientists. Yeah. C.V. Raman. I knew that was coming. Okay. C.V. Raman. Next. Shakuntala Devi is not a scientist. Good try. Vishweshwaraya, engineer, not scientist. Aryabhatta, okay, ancient. Modern scientist, okay. Abdul Kalam, not a scientist. Rocket engineer. Rohini Godbole, okay, but you're now front rows, are you? Okay. Okay. Anyway, so even the lives of these scientists are, in a way, fascinating. If you're doing science theatre, I see that you've chosen topics which are very close to your lived realities around water, around climate change, etc. But I also think there is a case of telling the story of our scientists, whether it is through theatre or film, etc. It is a big gap that we have. I hope some of you find it interesting enough to take it up. I have found it very interesting. But more than that, here I am standing at the age of 55 where most of my contemporaries are balding, depressed, dejected. Children have gone away, empty nest. What shall we do next? Okay, we will go to buy something from the supermarket, but why buy? You can do it on Dunzo. So will you get me my phone? I will order on Dunzo. This is what life can become. So hold on to something you love, sports, arts, science, whatever it is. You don't have to be an artist, you don't have to be an athlete, you don't have to be Nasaruddin Shah, but hold it with yourself for the rest of your life and have fun. That's the primary purpose of life, have fun.